Hello everyone and welcome back to class meeting number 5, part 3. So in the last part, Zach did the first meeting or first contact reading. Now, starting in this video, there's a few other texts that you're going to read off. In fact, they may all fit into this one, may not, hard to say. What are we looking at next?
Well, next thing we have is an excerpt from various portions of an Immersipedia article, which is kind of like Wikipedia in terms of these immersive data systems that they use in this alternate world.
Okay, fantastic. And this starts to define, I mean, the more and more that you read off, hopefully everyone out there is able to...
Hopefully just to get a clearer picture of this world.
Yeah, hopefully the world will become more and more in focus in their head.
That's the goal. So, I mean, if you're not getting that, then I'd love to hear from you.
So, all right. So with that, go ahead, Zach.
All right. Excerpts taken from Immersipedia entry Elythia, annotated by your loving pals at Smiling Cowboy Archives. Elythia is a large Earth-like moon that orbits the planet Nyala, a blue and purple gas giant that is the fourth of 7 planets in the Ganelon-Orrelar system, so named for its twin binary suns. Nyala has 2 moons, a small brownish sphere named Kamalia, and Elythia. The surface of Elythia is broken up into 9 continental land masses. These range from the frozen poles to the lush volcanic archipelagos. The nature of a binary system and Elythia's orbit around its mother planet has created an outstanding environmental diversity spanning harsh deserts, lush forests, rich flood basin deltas, and alpine mountain ranges. While each of these continents has variable climates, one stands apart. The Nexian Outlands, when seen from space, is a dark gray mass of jagged rocks and sprawling wastes. A curious blight on an otherwise pristine world. Though little is known about the precise circumstances that brought about these savage conditions, continued scans of the surface clearly indicate that they are not naturally occurring. Smiling Cowboy 8583. We still have no idea what happened in the Outlands, but having seen the place a few times, we can assure you that it is not the hottest little vacation spot in the cosmos. If you find yourself there, we sure hope you're not alone, and that you didn't pack light, and that most of your luggage consists of ammunition. Among the millions of observed species of flora and fauna present in the world, Elythia is most notably inhabited by a sentient race of bipedal humanoids. The Elythians are a sparsely populated people. Satellite scans indicate that, though the moon of Elythia is nearly 3 times the size of Earth in total land mass, the entire Elythian population spans only about 360 million, mostly focused around key cities with a few outlying villages and towns. This makes the planet itself seem nearly uninhabited. This may be one of the key reasons why it was so easy for humans to negotiate settlement terms on the planet. In many ways, Elythians are similar to Homo sapiens, having relatively close tolerances to heat and cold, an endoskeleton made of bone-like material, and an internal organ structure that reflects at least most of the primary functionality of ours. For full Elythian medical anatomy documentation, please see UEH EMED document 438-22. Smiling Cowboy 1154. Hey kiddies, don't even bother with UEH EMED Doc 438-22. You'll end up thinking that the Elythians have pretty much the same anatomy that we do. Tap here to jump over to a scan of some extensive research by Sapienetics regarding Elythian morphology. It gets taken down every hour or so, but we keep finding other corners to stuff it in. If it's not there when you tap, grab an amino coffee and try again later. Elythian system of government. Similarly to Earth, Elythians live under an oligarchical system led by a group known as the Mage Lords of the Citadel. This enclave of ancient sages, tacticians, and politicians has stood for many of our centuries as the primary governing body. Through their victory in an ancient civil conflict known in Elythian history as the Mage Wars, the High Council of Mage Lords has initiated an absolute rule over industry, society, information, and most importantly, over the power. Through the political power of the Mage Lords, a series of magistrates has been designated to watch over the various sister cities of the Citadel. Traditionally, these magistrates are female, and their office appears to be more figurehead in nature. Their powers of rule are limited to specific mandates of the Mage Lords. Smiling Cowboy 2231. It isn't widely discussed, even amongst the Elythians, but it seems that there may be more to the placement of females in the role of magistrate. There isn't a noticeable separation of power or subjugation of the sexes in Elythian society. The fact that the magistrates are generally female is an odd little anomaly, and nobody seems to understand why that is. The power. The power is the very core of Elythian society. Every Elythian exhibits some form of the power, which manifests differently from one to another. There are many observed manifestations of the power, and over the 1.5 Earth centuries since humans have come to know the Elythians, it is widely accepted that we have not yet seen all of them. Some Elythians exhibit uncanny control over the air, some over water, over fire, or over the very fabric of space and time. Variations, and indeed combinations, of these elemental and arcane themes offer a nearly infinite range of powers to the Elythians. Smiling Cowboy 6587. Don't let's forget the Nexians, folks. They can do things with the power that the editors of this little text didn't even dream of. And some of those things aren't too pretty. Ever watched someone's soul get ripped out, or seen their mind get destroyed at a glance? From youth, Elythians are strongly encouraged in school to embrace their abilities. Most of those who exhibit prowess in one form of the power or another are sent to a series of training universities where their abilities are honed. While there is no upheld belief in the power of pure bloodlines, there are several great houses, ancient families who hold traditions in such universities, each with a special affinity for a particular use and form of the power. Smiling Cowboy 7749. Again, something important is being skipped here. Of these houses, there is said to be one that still holds to the Nexian mode of thought, teaching Elythians long forbidden uses of the power. The means by which one might receive such training is a dark secret not widely known and rarely spoken of in Elythian society. Generally, settlers from Earth and her colonies have been highly intimidated by the Elythians' hold on the power. However, we encourage you to remember that the Elythians themselves are a peaceful people and that their powers are not truly magical. Smiling Cowboy 6658. Powers or no, the Elythians aren't the only ones who carry a big stick. We have some pretty scary tech these days, folks. While the Elythians can certainly do some nice tricks with that power of theirs, it turns out that a well-placed pump action has pleasantly similar effects on them as it does to your fellow humans. I recommend you keep one handy. You know, for close encounters. So that's all of that section.
Cool. Very cool.
And this moves us into excerpt. Oh,
we have
a question? What do we got?
Let's see. George had asked.
Somebody's probably asking about cycles.
Nope, not that. Well,
Elythia is rotationally locked like our moon, so it has a typical night and day cycle, or is it different than with the additional orbit around the planet? Oh, it could be. Truth be told, it's one of those things we're probably going to have to simplify when it comes to actually building the game world. Mm-hmm. Just because if you think about it, if everything existed on a single plane, if Elythia is already pretty big and is orbiting a gas giant, there would be a significant period of time where it's completely blocked off from the sun, which would be cool, but I don't necessarily want to do that. So in terms of the technicalities for gameplay, I'm thinking we're going to have to kind of dumb that down a little bit. I mean, in the end, I hate to say this, but I like the idea of walking around on a planet, looking off to the east or to the west, and seeing this gigantic bluish-purple planet dominating a horizon. And I want to see that. That just makes me kind of giddy to even think about. But at the same time, I don't want it to get to a point where that blackens out the sky and I can't see anything for a while because we're locked behind that. So, like I said, that'll probably get kind of dumbed down in terms of what you see when playing the game. In the meantime, it does sound pretty cool to go through.
But yeah, when I just wanted to toss this out there since Toastage can hear us, let him know that we were thinking of him because when you first started describing some of the surface, and then especially when you got to the Nexian Outlands
mm-hmm.
and the jagged rocks.
You've already painted that like 100 times.
Yeah, Toastage was like, yeah. Jagged rocks, oh boy.
Yeah, Fat, I'm thinking it is a binary system, but I'm not considering those suns to be in two significantly different locations. They are both at the core of the system, just kind of orbiting around each other.
And again, as we progress further and further, we're slowly locking more and more scientific fact in our world down. Yeah. And that just hasn't been 100% locked down yet. We just haven't had those discussions, so this is kind of the first time with you guys discussing that stuff. But as you'll see coming up soon, and probably even in this next read, some of the other things are starting to get locked into stone. So again, these are things that will become addressed as we progress forward, because I like the idea of grounding everything in this alternate reality that we're designing. All right, so with that, Zach, are you pretty much ready on the
I think so, yeah.
You want to give them a quick heads up as to
this,
what it is?
well, even the title of it will give them everything they need to know.
Oh, okay.
These are excerpts from a text copy transcript of the UEH Official Elythian Settler Field Guide. Introduction. Mankind's reach into the stars was a slow and steady one. Like the first air-breathing life that steadily crawled from the sea, it began with a blind reach, a testing. Hundreds of thousands of unmanned deep space exploration probes were sent outward to the furthest reaches of the known cosmos. By the way, that should be farthest, but let's just ignore that. Gav. It was by chance that one of these probes, an older model psychosentient analysis probe by NTR, came across a faint signal while performing a routine scan of an asteroid cluster over 50 billion light-years from Earth. Following months of progressively more in-depth communication efforts with the native inhabitants, an agreement was reached that allowed humans to settle in certain areas on the Elythian planet. See Merlon's Accord below. Since that discovery, and over the many years following first contact, we have come to know a great many things about the Elythian people. The purpose of this textbook is to introduce you to the fundamental principles of Elythian culture, to inform you of human Elythian history to date, and to help prepare you for a time when you yourself may come into contact with the Elythian people and experience their rich heritage. Commercial insert. NTR. Moving Humanity. Forward. Tap here to visit NTR. Enter code BAG textbook for 20% student discount on all data immersion systems. Subject to student status verification. Please see online store for details. Merlon's Accord and First Settlements. One of the first to aid in the development of communication between humankind and this new people was an elderly Elythian named Merlon. Merlon's profession was that of observer, which is very similar to an astronomer. Using his knowledge of the Ganelon-Orrelar system, Merlon was able to assist technicians on Earth in not only providing areas that might suit us for settlement, but also worked as a liaison between us and the Council of Magelords. This connection was vital, as it allowed us to reach critical agreements on the construction of the first spaceport on the moon of Kamalia, and eventually to Elythian settlement, the establishment of territories, technology sharing, and population control. In return for this, the Mage Lords were able to use their considerable powers to open a wormhole to their planet, thereby alleviating the problem of living tissue being unable to survive anti-relativity travel. On November 4, 3193, the first humans stepped off an interstellar transport ship onto Elythian soil. Less than 6 months later, construction began on the first human city, Salvation. In the 157 years since then, humans have built 4 other cities, including Shakespeare, Newton, Turing, and Asimov. A word on common language. It is important to realize that much of what we have come to understand of the Elythians and their detailed and richly recorded history was fairly difficult to extract, as our 2 languages have only a small degree of commonality. For instance, the English language has an approximate and highly variable number of actual words, currently estimated at roughly 390,000, including obsolete terms from centuries past. High Elythian, on the other hand, has over 6 million different words, largely owing to Elythian society's value on precision. Having a hard time finding the right words to send in that e-message to your special someone? Let Foresight Industries' own sophisticated psychosentient algorithms handle it for you. We have wet-loaded a library of personalities from some of the most renowned relationship counselors, all available in our databanks 24 hours a day. Just set an overall mood with a single setting and get the results you want with no more fumbling for the right words. Mention this ad and receive the first message absolutely free. Visit Foresight Industries for more information. Elythian time. In this textbook, we will endeavor to expose you to as many aspects of Elythian culture as we can. However, one key facet of Elythian society, which differs greatly from that of humans, is their system for marking the passage of time. Elythia is not a planet. Rather, it is one of 2 moons, the other being Kamalia, orbiting the gas giant Nyala, 4th planet of the Ganelon-Orrelar binary system. These twin suns are commonly referred to by the Elythians as the father suns. Each time Nyala orbits the father suns is considered a great cycle, which takes approximately 3.2 Earth years. Each time Elythia orbits Nyala is considered to be one cycle, which takes approximately 9.6 months, precisely 1/4 of a great cycle. Cycles are generally analogous to and are a quarterly form of our months. Each rotation of Elythia itself is considered to be one subcycle, which takes approximately 38 hours. There are 184 subcycles per cycle and 736 subcycles per great cycle. Though not as useful for most time concerns, 1,000 great cycles form one megacycle, or 3,200 Earth years. We know that time is important in these trying days, which is why Hamamoto Industries makes available the only nanotechnological chronometer on the market today. Forget being late to that test and throw away that ancient alarm holoclock. Our patented custom-grown nanites deliver atomic clock precision right into your short-term memory, so you always know what time it is in any time zone on any colony or ship. Tap here to visit Hamamoto Industries to find out how you can get this and other exciting nanotech upgrades at discount student prices. Offer subject to verification. Hamamoto Industries is not responsible for side effects such as nanite rejection syndrome. Geopolitical structure. Elythia is divided into 9 primary continents. Of these, 8 are inhabited by the Elythian people, with the southernmost landmass, a polar ice cap named Daragoth, that is analogous to Earth's former continent of Antarctica, being completely uninhabited by the Elythians. The Nexian Outlands, the second largest continent on the Moon, located in the southern hemisphere, is the homeland for the Nexian people, a race of Elythians who have been ostracized by primary society due to their role in the provocation of the Mage Wars. The Power and Arcana Site. As many of you already know, the Elythians exhibit a wide array of powers and abilities that are unexplainable by pre-contact science. In Elythian society, these abilities are referred to simply as the Power. There are many forms of the power exhibited on the planet, ranging from manipulation of air, water, fire, earth, to more esoteric abilities such as control of time and space. During the initial months after first contact, these abilities were erroneously attributed to magical powers. Of course, the word magic is just another way of saying that a phenomenon is unexplainable by modern science, yet. Since the time of first contact, research by corporations such as Hamamoto Industries, Sapienetics, NTR, and others has led to some interesting and controversial theories about the origin of these abilities. Tired of seeing all of your friends get more and more attractive while you get left behind? Consider aesthetic recombination therapy at your local Sapienetic spa. Our technicians can suggest patented DNA treatments to give you all the right shapes in all the right places. Yes, gentlemen, all of them. Tap here to go to Sapienetic Spa to receive a 3-day trial treatment absolutely free. Terms subject to verification and approval. Certain restrictions apply. See Sapienetic Spa for details. The Mage Wars. Approximately 700 Earth years ago, the moon Elythia was nearly destroyed in a conflict between the Mage Lords and the Nexians, an enclave of Elythians who followed certain uses of the power that were considered forbidden by their society. Little is known of this war, as the details of all written transcripts have been secured within the Elythian Citadel Librarium, to which we have not yet been granted complete access. By the way, there's a typo there. I meant 7,000 years ago. However, even without these histories, it is clear from orbital scans that the world of Elythia was nearly torn apart in some form of attack, which we surmise was launched by the Nexians. The war that ensued wiped out a large percentage of the population, with both sides taking heavy losses. Though the Nexians' forbidden applications of the power were reportedly far more effective for combat, they did not have the numbers to sustain an ongoing conflict and were eventually driven back to the point of their initial attack. There, the effects of that first assault had continued to spread. It was only through the combined efforts of the most skilled in the power that the effect was finally reversed and contained to a single continent, which is now known as the Nexian Outlands. Let's face it, with New World comes new threats, and no one handles threat management like Spartacus Armaments. Whether you need simple bodyguard escorts or privately tuned combat training, our arsenal of the latest weapons with cutting-edge minds and bodies to operate them allows you to stand apart and feel thoroughly protected. Spartacus Armaments. Inspire. Fear. And that's all of that section.
Very cool. All right, and then you have one section left?
2, actually.
2? All right, you want to put those into the video after this one?
Sure, we can go. We're 20 minutes in. That's a good enough cutting point.
That's kind of what I was thinking. First, just looking up over here at some of the comments, I didn't see any actual questions other than Toasted saying, all of them? And, yes,
Yes.
Toastage.
Yes,
All of them. And
I love Paul Verhoeven's work.
oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Would you like to know more?
JJ says you need to write a novel. Oh, we've been discussing about
Yeah.
all sorts of fun things that can be done with this as far as novels go. Zach's an outstanding writer, without a doubt. Let's see. Anything else? People seem to really be enjoying the
Well, good. I'm glad.
advertisements. Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
And I don't mean to throw out anything that's even remotely down or negative, but I know that this isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
I know there's some who are like, oh my God, can we please get to coding now? And please, you don't have to listen to any of this. This is just something for everyone to keep in mind, because we're going to end up having to bring in artists and help develop assets. God, we have so many assets to create. And every little bit of the world that you get exposed to is going to make those artistic decisions a lot easier.
Well,
that's the goal.
Toastich is here right now, and Toastich is an amazing artist. I love his style, and I hope with him listening to you reading this in his head, he's starting to get a really vivid image of what this world looks like.
Do you notice I intentionally took away a lot of the description of the Elythians?
Yeah. Well, we've actually talked about
I kind of
that.
sanded that off a little bit, just to leave the door open.
As I said at the very beginning, as far as designing this game goes, that's something that was very important to me, and that I did my best to really stress to everyone. And that is, we're not a game studio. We're not following any common set of rules, because we're kind of working outside those. We don't have investors and people that we report back to. We're doing this class. If everybody dropped out and we couldn't afford to continue working on this MMO ourselves, then
it'd become a free time thing. We'd still keep doing it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But we would do it at, like you said, a free time thing when we had time. By having all of the member sponsors in the class, it's helping fund us to do this, and
we can do it a lot more of the time.
And that's right. And in turn, we're sharing as much of this knowledge as we can with everyone. And to us, one of the things that we said right out the gates that was important was having a solid story, a world that made sense and felt believable.
And I love world building, so this hasn't even been like a job for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been very pleased with how the entire project's going. And for those of you that are in the class only for the technical side of stuff, there has been technical exploration going forward. I'm very pleased with where we're going with the terrain system, and very excited for its application to the world that we're going to be creating in the very near future, especially when we start getting into cooperative level designing or zone designing. However you want to look at that, it's going to be quite a fun thing. But anyways, with that, let's go ahead and close this video down. We'll start up another one and get these last couple of things read off to you, with one of those being my absolute favorite so far. So that's going to wrap this video up. Thanks a lot, everyone.